Joining me now to discuss House Armed Services Committee member and retired Navy SEAL, Congressman Derrick Van Orden. Congressman, fantastic to see you. I want you to read into it, though, because certainly the signals coming out of this White House are that strikes on the territory could be in the cards.
Well, let's remember, narco-terrorists are responsible for more deaths of American citizens than all of the combined casualties of every war we've had since the Revolutionary War. So these are legitimate military targets. These folks are killing American citizens. On average, about 50,000 Americans a year die from drug overdoses. So what Maduro needs to understand is this: everything is on the table. And that guy needs to take the president's offer and get the heck out of Venezuela and let the Venezuelan people get back to a place where they can be peaceful and prosperous. As a Navy SEAL, I worked in Venezuela in the 90s, and it was an absolutely amazing country before Hugo Chavez came in and destroyed it with socialism.
Right, who the likes of Bernie Sanders sidled up to and treated him like he was just a God-fearing, generosity-loving socialist who had humanity, the good of humanity in his heart. It's just mind-boggling at the time, knowing what the man was doing to the people of Venezuela. I think 8 million people have fled the country. But the military buildup and what is going on now, taking on the narco-terrorists and really sending a very clear message to Maduro, or Maduro, according as the New York Post calls him. What is the why now in the calculation out of President Trump's White House in terms of Maduro's weakness? Explain that. There's always a why now. Why do it now?
The reason to do it now is because, like I said, on average, 50,000 American citizens die every single year from drug overdoses. So this should have been done previously. The why now is because we finally have a president back in office with a spine who understands that his primary responsibility is protecting the American citizens from external threats. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is doing, also with the leadership of Secretary of War Hegseth and Raisin Kane as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I'm incredibly proud of that team.
The resistance is a bumper sticker, is a T-shirt for the Democrats, but why the resistance by the Democrats to this? And why, and again, they're trying to pin war crimes on the administration and the Secretary of War.
Well, 2 words: because Trump. They have Trump derangement syndrome. They have Trump derangement syndrome on their brain, and they just can't get rid of it. So no matter what Donald Trump says, they're going to take an opposite position. Donald Trump could tell these people that oxygen's good for you. Within a half an hour, there'd be 500,000 people in the country walking around with plastic bags over their head. It's absolutely silly. And let's directly address this war crimes garbage. And let me give you a different example. If you're on the battlefield and you shoot a javelin missile at a tank, and the tank is not completely destroyed, you shoot another one. If that boat was not completely destroyed by the first missile, you shoot another one, and you keep doing that. And you got to understand, the average Americans do not care about these narco-terrorists at all. They care about the fact that their brothers and sisters and mothers and husbands have died of fentanyl overdose. That's what we really, truly care about. We care about our fellow American citizens.
And I mentioned this earlier, but Caroline Leavitt made that crystal clear earlier today in the briefing. Admiral Bradley was to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the U.S. was eliminated.
Correct.
But speaking of threats to the U.S., threats to our homeland, who are on our land and in our homeland, potentially concerns over Afghan nationals in the U.S. after Joe Biden's chaotic withdrawal, after the murder of one member of the National Guard, Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. She died last week, and then Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf is still in a hospital after they were both horribly attacked down in Washington, D.C. President Trump has flagged DHS 5,000 Afghans flagged as security risks since 2021, and they're examining all Afghans brought in by Joe Biden. What else needs to be done? Obviously, the president has talked about cutting off any incoming individuals from, well, I think 11, almost a dozen different nations. What else should be done, Congressman?
Well, let's get that done first. So Biden let in, 270,000 unvetted Afghans. We just had one of these folks who worked for the CIA, apparently, murder a National Guards person about 5 blocks from where I'm standing now. And let's remember what Lloyd Austin, the former Secretary of Defense, said, that he had absolutely no regrets over this at all. And Joe Biden said it was a flawless operation. So, I mean, as Americans, we can just thank God that Biden and his crew are not there any longer, and that we've got Donald J. Trump and his crew in the White House right now, because they're protecting American citizens.
Amen. Congressman Derrick Van Orden, thank you so much. Great to see you.
You're welcome. It's great to see you too. Have a wonderful night.
You too.